Hi, everyone, and welcome to Aura Insight Series. We have Zahid Rahman here, co-founder of DM, and we're going to talk a little bit about unlocking extreme capacity. So right off the bat, can you define what extreme capacity is?
Good question, Alex. Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here. Absolutely. One of the things I think people ask me, in job interviews or, when they observe me for a while is like, Zahid, Z, a lot of people call me, you have this happening, you have this company, you have this company, you have this job, you have this, like, how do you manage it all, right? And I think the superpower that I think, I like to teach people to unlock is the capacity. I believe humans have this immense capacity, but I don't think people unlock it. I think because of society and different things, they limit themselves in what they think they can do, right? So I'd love to share with some of the insights that I have of what I use to really unlock, a lot of great things that could be in store for you if you open up to your limitless possibilities.
Right. Okay. And while you were saying that, I was actually thinking, I'm like, there's got to be movies based on this. And I know that there's a movie called Limitless with Bradley Cooper, right?
I wish it was like that.
It's
where
not
just
that
a
easy,
drug,
though.
You get smart.
There isn't like a one-time solution to do it.
No.
This is an art.
You know what? I'll just start off with saying that it's not for everyone, right? A lot of people need that time to kind of, unwind and just take time off. Mm-hmm. So right off the bat, if you want to unlock extreme capacity, you just have to realize it's not for everyone, right? However, I think there's a lot of benefits to it. If you want to be totally free, not be at a job where you're stuck and you're just there because you have no other choice, and it's not easy for you to leave the situation. When you have unlimited capacity, extreme capacity, you'll be able to like walk away from any situation. You're never going to be stuck. You'll be able to have a life where, you could just take off for 3 weeks or 4 weeks, somewhere, right? When you have a job, you just can't do that, right? You have responsibilities, you have a team, you can't just walk away, right? So if you can leverage, all of your capabilities, you have a full-time job, you're not really ready to leave yet. And, so you want that steady income, but you also want to, have a side hustle or a big hustle on the side, start a company. So if you can really unlock the powers of capacity, then you're really, then you can get the life that you really want.
And you say unlocking the powers of capacity. Can you share what those powers are?
Yeah. So again, it's really, if you want to have a fulfilling life and freedom, it's not for everyone, but if you do want multiple sources of income, absolutely. So one thing I'd love for everyone to start off with is forget conventional thinking. A lot of the things I want to teach you is probably against convention.
Right.
So if you can just keep an open mind for a few minutes while I go through this, I think you'll understand. So I think our DNA, you'd be surprised what a human being can endure, right? I think because of society and, comforts, we all are limited by our beliefs, right? I think it's in our DNA to always be on, right? I'm not saying you shouldn't pace yourself, right? But I think it's in our DNA to always be on. Think about 2,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago, when we didn't have comforts of big screen TVs and, big SUVs and, drive-throughs. We would have to hunt for food, right? And we would have to sleep outside perhaps where there's animals. And it's not like, my job's done. It's Friday at 5 and I'm going to chill for, not do anything until Monday morning, right? So I think it's in our DNA to really be able to work unlimited, without limits. Mm-hmm. So I think what a lot of people think is they compartmentalize a corporate job with anything to do with monetary gains, right? So whether it be a business or a side hustle, they treat it almost like a corporate job. And if you do that, you're not going to have, too much capacity. But I just want people to think about this for 1 second. Yes, a corporate job is 9 to 5, 5 days a week. Maybe it's a little bit more stressful. You have to put in some overtime hours. But the reality is a corporate job, this 9 to 5, 48-day work week, is unlike everything else in your life, right? If you have kids, if you have a family, if you're sick, it's not like, if
Right.
someone came to you and said, I'm sick, it's not like, well, sorry, I'm off the clock and call me on Monday morning, right?
Yeah.
Or tomorrow at 9. Nothing really works at this 9 to 5 schedule, right? Like, it's not like you stop being a parent. It's not like you stop being a family member. It's not like you can't be sick after, those hours. Your car can break down anytime. You might have issues with your neighbors. You might have religious duties. You might have emergencies. So our mind is always on, right? It's just we choose to block off and say, you know what, my job is done and I'm closed. So if you do that, then you're kind of limiting yourself. But if you realize that, that you're literally working and you're on, I wouldn't say 24 hours a day, but you're on for like 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. And that's really the capacity. Again, I'm not saying you should be working all the time. And I actually don't work a lot. I come home pretty early. I spend a lot of time with my family, except I'm able to kind of sequence and structure my day a little bit differently to be able to unlock my capacity. Another thing I would love to share, Alex, is you have to realize that a lot of people feel entitled. If they see corporate success, they just think that, oh, I'm a manager, I'm a director, and I've proven this in my corporate job, that entitles them for success in other aspects of life. And it's not true. Corporate success doesn't translate at all pretty much to other aspects of life. However, if you look at how you are as a parent or as a son or a daughter or a husband or a wife, where your duty never stops, if you treat everything else like that, then I think that is one of the aspects of unlocking your capacity. Now, I want to be clear here. Capacity is a little bit different than detailed work. A lot of people are very successful and they do things that require a lot of detail, where they're sitting in, they're focused on a project and there's like 1,000 line items and there's like, multiple moving parts. There's a lot of people in the project. So you're kind of in the zone and managing the project, and it's extreme talent. That's a lot of talent to be able to do that. However, a detailed project or being detailed is different than capacity. Capacity is the ability to handle many things that are not related, right? So, your job, your business, your family, your child, your parents, whatever it is, they might have different like phases. You might have a young child, or your startup, your business could be very new, and it could be like a very early stage business, but your job could be like late stages, right? And there are no parallels. So to be able to kind of switch between one to another is really the one of the keys of it. Now, I would say confidence is very important. Confidence is, if you believe that there's unlimited capacity that you would have, and you have to have the confidence to be able to know that you have many things you could do with your life, right? If you have your job, you're not really quite ready to give up on that, or you need that steady income and you want to, study something, get a degree, you want to get some licensing, you want to start a business. When you believe that you can do all of that, when you have that confidence, then you are on a different plane.
Let's say an employee's side of you who wants to start a side hustle or something, and I've been kind of trained to compartmentalize those aspects of my life. Do you have solutions for how to reset that mindset, to sound redundant?
Maybe. I would say one thing about me is I believe in every job I've ever had, I've given a lot of value, but my value is not based on how much time I put in, right? A lot of people will try to convince you saying, hey, this person works 60 hours and they're in the office at 7 in the morning and leave at 6 every day, or whatever the case is. They will try to convince you that person is contributing more than you, right? I've always been the one, I wouldn't say I come in late. I try to come on time, but not overly on time. And I try to leave at a decent time so I can come home and spend time with my family. That's very important to me. But maybe on the way home, I would do things that would make myself more efficient and effective, right? So I would say I'm not encouraging people just to work crazy hours just for one thing. I would say, yeah, you might work longer hours or more hours scattered. But in terms of, how do you change that mindset? Remember, everything that you do it doesn't have a 9 to 5 clock, right? So you have to just shift your side hustle or your business or, something that you want to do as part of everything else in your life, not part of this bucket that we call, means to an end or,
Right.
making money.
Right.
Right. I want to talk about, utilizing idle time. So what I meant was, so I might leave the office at 5, I might leave a bit earlier, but I believe those 8, 9 hours, 7, 8 hours I was in the office, I provided so much value. And there's a lot of things that I do to kind of, to really provide the value. One of them is basically, I focus on high impact, right? I try to avoid the noise, I call it, where things that are very, very loud and everyone has to put their 2 cents in. And, maybe it's an HR thing and, so-and-so did this and this person got into a fight or so-and-so slept with someone. I try to avoid all of that. No, I'm serious because I see often.
I was going to say designed by committee, but
and
also
and everyone gets involved and put their 2 cents in. And when I see that, I'm like, well, what more? I have 5 managers, 5 executives talking about it. What more value am I going to bring that I can't? So when I see that and the topic is going on a tangent, it's not, I can't really add any new value.
Yep.
You'll see me always silently walk away, right? I try to avoid all these like noise, things that have little impact, but everyone seems to have an opinion on. I try to avoid that. And doing that allows me to focus on really high impact things for the company I'm working for or anything that I do. Also on my way home, if I'm on a train or a subway or something like that, if I'm driving, hopefully not, I wouldn't recommend while you're driving, but if you are, waiting in line, you're in the grocery store, you're at the barber shop, you're waiting, and trust me, there's a lot of time in the day that you're just idle, right? And instead of listening to music or tuning out or doing nothing, that's the time I use to capitalize. So I might have multiple businesses, I might have, a job, I have, different gigs and engagements.
Yep.
I'm always like on. So in the sense that, okay, I have 2 minutes to follow up with so-and-so. Let me ask this person from work. Let me ask this person from this business or that business, or let me just follow up with that person. When I'm able to do that, Alex, I just basically, I'm keeping things moving.
Yep.
I'm not the bottleneck and I'm not doing it in a time where it's my precious time. Like I'm idle anyways. I'm on the sitting on the subway. I'm sitting on the train. I'm middle of traffic. I'm, waiting in line. Well, let me just, put my phone out, boom, 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 send out 2 texts, 1 email, 1 WhatsApp message. And all of a sudden like 5 things just get flowing. Right. So I have an internal clock. I always know what's happening. The businesses that I have, they operate, different hours of the day over different time zones, different countries. People start their, 24/7 almost someone's working for me. So almost. So I'm constantly thinking, okay, today so-and-so is starting. Okay, these 4 people are starting right now. This person's going home. So I'm just, making sure I have my internal clock happening. I'm messaging them. I'm calling them. I'm, I'm giving them feedback because sometimes when you're managing a lot of people, if you don't give feedback, then all of a sudden work doesn't get done. Right. So constantly battling or juggling all these things. However, I do it in a way where I don't just sit there and I'm like doing nothing else, but I try to avoid that. My 9 to 5 is really the time I actually work. And then throughout the day, I'm just messaging, right? And maybe if you add all that time up in the day, it might add up to 1 more hour, right? So a lot of people choose to spend extra 2 hours at work or 1 hour at work. I choose to leave work early and spend 2 minutes here, 5 minutes there, 20 minutes there, 5 minutes there, 2 minutes there, all throughout the day. And I'm very responsive. Anyone messages me anytime, they'll probably get a response within like a few seconds, almost always, because I'm always on, right? And I think if you can, live that life, and I'll be at a wedding, I'll be, at a golf course, I'll be, doing something, but I'm always connected. And just like that 2 messages that I might send to 2 different people just keeps things moving, right? And I think that's a really, really useful technique for being able to to have extremely high capacity.
Right. I'm going to push back on that a little bit because I have solo ventures as well. And I think completely differently than you.
Perfect.
I actively choose to turn my brain off because it's constantly, there's an internal monologue. How might you suggest people who don't have the capacity, wrong word to use, who feel like they don't have the capacity to be on and available all the time and don't have that internal clock?
Great question. I would say if it's for your job, right? Where there's really no extra monetary gain by working extra 3 hours in the weekend. Sure, every job requires it, and you want to get a promotion. Sure, absolutely, I've done it. I've done all-nighters, at work, figuring out server crashes multiple times in my career, staying up late. But I choose, if it's 100% necessary, I would do it. But this is not part of like your job, right? If it's something else that's kind of like something that gives you freedom in your life, where it allows you to go to, London, UK for a week, or live in Dubai, which I did, a couple of years ago. And it was a great experience. I took my whole family. A lot of people are like, hey, you took your kids out of school. I'm like, yeah, So if you want to do that, the only way to have that life is to have some sort of other income. That's not your job, right?
Yeah.
Most jobs won't allow you to go to another country for like a month, right? And I was very productive almost every single day, right? Some days I chose to only work 1 or 2 hours, and some days I would be working 6 or 7 or 8 hours. I rarely actually ever work, I would say, 8 hours, but I think I do about 16 hours of actual production, just because I cut to the chase. I get rid of noise. I get rid of stuff that makes little sense. I convince other people to do it. I motivate other people to do it, tell them there's a gain, and there are, because these are techniques these are the things I had to do at one time, but I made them the techniques that I allow other people to excel at, and allows me to really focus on the biggest thing. But it's a very important thing, or very interesting thing you bring up, because a lot of people are like you, where they don't want to always be on. They want that, shut your brain off. And I'm sure there is some health consequences of always being on, but I just try to pace myself, right? You'd be surprised sometimes I'm able to take a little nap, right? And it's funny. It's like, hey, you have all these things going on. You're taking a 30-minute nap. Well, that's like pacing myself.
I think that helps, actually.
It does. Like those things, pace yourself. I get home sometimes just lying down on my bed for like 20, 30 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Not doing anything, or doing something that I enjoy. And that allows me to be able to, pace myself, right? So I'd still get my, spurts of, rest and enjoyment. At the same time, I don't probably like have like a consistent 8 hours in a row where I'm just totally off, right? Some people force me to do it, but I think I get like more stressed out because I'm just worried about things might fall apart, right? So again, follow high impact. What's also important, especially if you have a side hustle, is I'm more about execution rather than pursuit of perfection. A lot of people like, I want to release this.
That's a really good point.
And they focus on perfection, right? And when you're focusing on perfection, like perfection is hard, right? I try to focus on 80%, right? Where it's like, you know what, this is quality. There's a lot of thought and effort into it. This is my MVP. So it's like a technical term. It's a product, a management term. MVP is minimal viable product. So I think about, okay, what's the minimum I need to do to start a podcast? What's the minimum I need to do to start a company? What's the minimum I need to do to release this product for work, or get this project off the ground, right? A lot of people will be fighting for you, saying, oh, we're not ready, we got to do this, we got to do this. And that's basically almost, you can say, noise, but it also prevents you from unlocking capacity. I prefer just anti-perfection, like do something that's like quality, get it out the door. Let's see, how the market reacts, see how the employees react, and then act accordingly rather than, baking the perfect cake and then feeding it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because you'll have to iterate anyways.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
All right, that's really awesome, Zahid. I've actually learned a lot. There's a lot to take home and practice. In theory, it's great, and we'll see how I'll report back. Do you have any last thoughts?
Yeah, like, you know what, I think it's in everyone. I love when people are growing and, having the life that they want. I saw my parents work really, really, really hard. I've seen people, thankfully they're still with me, and hopefully they have like a lot of great years ahead of them. I've had relatives that basically they worked their whole life and then they never got to enjoy life, right? So I do believe in enjoying life while you're living it rather than waiting for the last 5 or 10 years. And I think when you realize that you have unlimited capacity, you can get that life and live that life all the way throughout. Travel, see the world, meet a lot of people, spend quality time with your family, your friends, while you're, making an income. And I would say the last point, Alex, is it requires constant attention, not every minute, but, routine parts of the day. And if you take your eyes off the prize, and if you think you've arrived, or, hey, everything's great, or my career is great, my job is great, my career is great, my business is great, that's when it falls apart. So I would always recommend that you keep your eyes on the prize and focus on, focus on enjoying life, but also, keep your mind always on. And I think a lot of good things will happen.
Yep. Have that target there that you're always, either looking at directly or it's in the background and that it exists.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's really great. Thanks, Zahid.
Thank you so much. All right.